Scientists vow to refreeze the North and South poles by spraying chemtrails into the Earth's atmosphere. And this is fact-checked. Scientists outline plans to spray chemtrails into the Earth's atmosphere in order to refreeze the North and South poles. High-flying jets will be used to spray microscopic aerosol particles into the atmosphere to reflect sunlight and cool down the ice caps. A whopping 175,000 flights a year would be needed, releasing millions of tons of toxic chemicals into the atmosphere. Sky.com reports, but a former UK chief scientist backs the plans, telling Sky News that polar warming is now critical and refreezing the ice could hold back a rise in global sea levels. A new study was led by Wake Smith from Yale University in the United States. He warned the plan would treat an important symptom of climate change, not the cause. He said it's aspirin, not penicillin. It's not a substitute for decarbonization. Under the plan, a fleet of 125 military air-to-air refueling tankers would release a cloud of microscopic sulfur dioxide particles at an altitude of 43,000 feet, that's 13 kilometers, and latitude of 60 degrees in both hemispheres, roughly equivalent to the Shetland Islands in the north and the Falklands in the south. So Shetland Islands are just basically north of Scotland, and the Falklands are just south of Argentina. Now the particles would slowly drift towards the poles on high altitude winds, slightly shading the Earth's surface beneath. Just over 13 million tons of particles released in the spring and summer would be enough to cool the poles regions by 2 degrees Celsius, with more moderate cooling at mid-latitudes, according to the research published in the scientific journal Environmental Research Communications. The plan is controversial, not least because the large number of flights, equivalent to more than 2 days of global air traffic in 2021, would release greenhouse gases into the upper atmosphere where they are more damaging. Other scientists are also cautious about unleashing solar shading because it could have unintended consequences such as reducing crop yields worldwide. A plan to release particles from a balloon in northern Sweden last year was abandoned after protests from environmentalists. A large-scale release program would need international agreement. But the researchers argue that only 1% of the human population lives in the targeted deployment zone, and the £10 billion a year cost of the program would be far less in carbon capture or other means of mitigating or adapting to climate change, they said. Mr. Smith said if the risk-benefit equation were to pay off anywhere, it would be at the poles. He said any intentional turning of the global thermostat would be of common interest to all of humanity. The poles are warming several times faster than the global average, with record-breaking heat waves reported in both the Arctic and Antarctic earlier this year. If the vast Greenland and West Antarctic ice sheets reach a tipping point, now seem as likely on current projections of global warming, then sea levels would rise by several meters. Sir David King, a former government chief scientist and founder of the Centre for Climate Repair, CCR, at Cambridge University, told Sky News that radical action is needed to save polar ice. He said, "We're right there right now. The idea is to buy time while we reduce greenhouse gas emissions deeply and rapidly. That's essential. If we keep on emitting at the current rate, we're cooked," he said. Dr. Sean Fitzgerald, CCR director, said the large number of flights could be justified if they dealt with the immediate problem of sea level rise. He said using aircraft is not nice at all, but the impact of those greenhouse gases is a longer-term effect. We're worried about the impacts of climate change right now. It's really urgent. The CCR is working on a strategy in the labs to brighten clouds over the Arctic Ocean with a fleet of ships pumping seawater into the atmosphere. The clouds would reflect sunlight back into space, cooling ice in the region. The CCR supports a United Nations moratorium on attempting any form of geoengineering at scale until experiments have shown it's safe and there is agreement that there is a critical need to use it. This is by Sean Adeltabatabai on News Punch. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.